The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for joining us during this holiday week. If you're at work, we feel your pain. So are we. We're with you. We're with you. We're thinking of you. We're in this together. If you're still enjoying your vacation, your holiday off, and you still tuned in, thank you for your loyalty. Appreciate you. That's awesome. It's been a busy holiday with sports here in this market for sure. We jumped on Friday, even though a lot of us were enjoying the holiday as well, and we had to cover one of the biggest stories we've had come down the pipe here in Utah for quite some time when it comes to sports. And after 21 years at Utah, and after stepping down, Kyle Whittingham quickly decided to take on a massive challenge by becoming the next head coach for the Michigan Wolverines. And he was in maize and blue on Sunday being introduced to the media. And we want to hear a lot more about that, how that went, the reaction on the side of Michigan, what this could mean for the schools here in Utah that are trying to protect some of their staffs and players. So let's get to the cut right now. It's brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships, Dodge, Ram, Chevrolet, Subaru, Kia in Linden, and now Mitsubishi in American Fork.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And joining us now live on the Zone phone is Anthony Broome. He covers Michigan for the Wolverine.com and the On3 network. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're like us. We thought we'd enjoy our holiday, a nice quality holiday, and especially after everything that's been happening over there. I bet you were looking forward to a quiet holiday, but that's not the case. Your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on the hire, first of all, and Michigan bringing Kyle Whittingham in as their head coach.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me. Second off, I haven't had a quiet holiday in 5 years, it feels like, up
true.
here. So it's been crazy to go from where we were at a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, and 48 hours after a coach is fired, he's appearing, in a white jumpsuit in jail to now fast forward. And, Michigan's got, I think, one of the most respected people in college football leading their program now. So it's been a breakneck couple weeks. We still, he's got to put a staff together. Transfer portal's coming up. Going to get through this bowl game. But, finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, some stability here.
What's the reaction that you're seeing on your message boards and among Michigan faithful to Kyle Whittingham being named the head coach? What are the fans thinking?
I think at first the reaction was, now mind you, I'm going to frame this through when this search started. I think a lot of people were hoping that they'd throw a Hail Mary and steal Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, or maybe land a Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. And when it became clear that wasn't going to happen, there were kind of these, I won't say trial balloons, but, we do all these candidate profiles. And when it becomes apparent that Whittingham was the guy that they were targeting, I think at first the narrative was kind of like, really, he kind of had one foot out the door at Utah the last few years and all that. But then as people have gotten to know him a little better, just through the fact that he was the guy, and then you got to put all your eggs in the basket of figuring out who this guy is and what he's going to bring to the table, I think people are pretty darn happy. The press conference, I think, was served for a lot of people that weren't in the know that, as you guys are aware, this is a guy got a lot of energy. I think still has some good years in front of him. And like he said, like he didn't expect to, when he stepped back, he didn't expect to be coaching this year. And then all of a sudden you have, what is maybe a top 5, top 8 job, give you a call. That one perked his ear up, and seems like it's given him another, I won't say a second wind, but kind of re-energized him as well. So I think people are excited, knowing that Utah's been up here a few times and kind of stuffed Michigan into a trash can. So we know what those teams are all about. We know what he wants to do, the type of program he wants to build, and it's probably going to look a lot like the teams that we've gotten used to covering over the years too.
You won't find a younger and more invigorated 66-year-old And Kyle Whittingham, I don't know if you had a chance to meet him at the press conference or not, but the dude is intense and fit as you can be at 66. But were you still surprised that they gave him a 5-year contract at his age?
Not necessarily. We were affectionately referring to him last week as like a Pete Carroll 66, like a guy who's just, you guys. I don't need to run you down who that guy is, but he, 5-year deal doesn't surprise me. It's I think this is set up for him if they can retain a lot of the roster for him to win right away. And it doesn't take 3 to 4 to 5 years to get a program off the ground anymore. With the transfer portal, with NIL, especially the type of resources that Michigan has, they could be right in the mix for this as early as next year. So, even if he was to give them only 3 or 4 years, which we'll see what happens, but I tend to believe it when he says he'll go the full 5. But they're going to be competing pretty quickly under him, I think, and that's I think that speeds up both Michigan's timeline in terms of what they hope to get out of this guy when it's all said and done, and gives him a sense of urgency where he doesn't really have to build. There's a lot that's good here already, and he's just got to put his stamp on it.
What's the latest that you're hearing from on the Michigan side of things with Jay Hill and Jason Beck, their possible candidacy to join Whittingham?
Yeah, I think I think those two guys will wind up being the hires at both those coordinator spots. I think out of respect for the current staff, it seems that they're going to let them get through the bowl game. So you're not seeing on social media that so-and-so is being targeted for your job or this guy's in the mix for this job. And some of that's already out there already. But I just think out of respect for the staff, we probably see things start to move, if not late Wednesday night, maybe, early this weekend, maybe Thursday or so with some of those names. So I do expect those two guys to be the coordinators.
What's the most important thing when it comes to players that Kyle Whittingham has to do as he starts this tenure?
Well, I think he doesn't really have to sell anything new in terms of, hey, this is a program that's been built on physicality and winning the line of scrimmage. And those are all things that guys that are already here were sold on when they joined the program. So I think it's an accountability. I think it's a track record of knowing that, hey, listen, like this is what this guy's selling. We know everyone kind of knows proof of concept. You stick around, like what this can and should look like. So really it's just the player retention, getting as many guys on board as possible. I think that Michigan throughout this process did a masterful job of getting the players to just kind of settle down and lock in for this bowl game, and then getting him on a plane right down there so they could meet him. And he wants to meet this entire roster, by the time they leave Orlando. So it's a work in progress. You're not going to keep everyone, but the early returns that we've heard is that a lot of juice and a lot of guys are really excited for this.
Anthony, from your experience covering Michigan, just how important is the rivalry game of winning that game against Ohio State annually? And I bring that up because he would entrench himself in BYU and Utah. He would never utter the letters BYU when he was coaching at Utah. But on the Michigan side, how important is just solely that game, not only winning, but winning that one on a consistent basis for job security in the future and really being beloved by this fan base at Michigan?
I mean, it's everything. And that's another thing. Fans are like, oh, well, he's not, he comes from kind of a regional rivalry, which I push back on that. I think the Holy War is tremendous. He's going to get, because he hasn't been inside the football facility yet, he's going to get in that building, and there are reminders of that game everywhere. I mean, they have signs in the weight room that say, what are you doing to beat Ohio State today? They have signs, in the practice facility, all those types of things. So, and he knows about that program. He's tied at the hip with Urban Meyer. So I think there's an awareness of it. I think that it's less about the rah-rah and more about, he knows what it takes to win that type of game. And that's to win up front on both lines of scrimmage. And that was Michigan's recipe during its 4-game win streak that was just snapped this year in that rivalry. So all the ingredients are there with a steady hand at the wheel now, it seems like.
It's obvious that the expectations at Michigan are very high, and especially when you won a national championship just 2 short years ago. How much pressure is there at Michigan, and how quickly could people turn if things don't go smoothly? I mean, we even saw when it took Harbaugh a while to beat Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh, that people wanted to run him out of Ann Arbor. How tough can the fans be on a head coach at Michigan?
Well, I think now the expectations change a little bit just because now it's all about reaching that 10-win plateau. And with some schedules in the Big Ten, the 9 wins might be enough to get you into the college football playoff, especially as it expands. Now, again, don't go lose. If he's here for 5 years, you don't want to go 0-5 against Ohio State, or you don't want to go 1-4. You want to win as many of those as you possibly can. But, if you could play multiple times in a year now, we could see them play back-to-back weeks in a Big Ten championship game, or maybe as many as 3 times in a year with the college football playoffs. So I think fans, like Ohio State fans, Michigan fans are different than Ohio State fans in that if they lose to Michigan, it sets off a chain reaction of just freakouts and all kinds of nonsense down there. Whereas I think Michigan fans take that a little more in stride and realize that you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It tends to even out when both programs are at their best. So, the pressure just lies in making college football playoffs. I think now in the world that we're in and the type of program Michigan is, you should probably crack that 12-team field more often than not. Maybe 2 out of every 3 years, 3 out of every 5. That's the kind of the expectation now. And I think that the Michigan's national title has kind of like satiated a lot of that for a bit. Not to say that anyone at Michigan's resting on it, but I think a lot of people have calmed down and realized that this is a new dynamic in this sport and what the expectations are in terms of playing for its biggest prize.
Anthony, I'm curious with, Ward Manuel making the hire here, getting Kyle Whittingham on board, and is he going to be the leader of this athletic department going forward with Kyle Whittingham, or could Whit have a new boss here soon? How's that shaping up with that investigation and just the Michigan athletic department?
I'm honestly not sure. I think with the search that they ran, what winds up being the case is that, Michigan just in general has a lot of administrative fires that they're working to put out. They don't have a school president at the moment. Like you said, the athletic department's under investigation. I think what a hire of Kyle Whittingham does is it puts out one of their biggest fires and puts it in the hands of a guy where he's going to run a no BS program. There's not going to be any scandal. You're in capable hands with a guy who's done it for a long time. And that thing is just kind of run itself under a guy who's proven to do it at a high level. So I don't know what that looks like. It could go either way. If you're asking me what my opinion on it is, his days probably should be numbered as Kyle Whittingham's boss. But again, I'm not privy to what this investigation might dig up.
This is an incredible opportunity for Kyle Whittingham and a no-brainer for him in his situation. Every job around the country, though, has like this unique thing about it or something that a coach that's coming in that new needs to know about or needs to understand or adjust to. What are some of those things at Michigan that a coach coming from Utah needs to adjust to?
Well, I think in this new Big Ten, more weeks than not, it's a showdown college football playoff type of game, type of atmosphere with Penn State and Oregon and Ohio State and USC and Indiana now certainly becoming a bit of a superpower. I think that's not unique to Michigan, but from Michigan's or from Whittingham's perspective, I think something that he'll even admit that he'll need to adjust to is the national recruiting footprint. And, how to utilize NIL and the transfer portal. And not to say that it seems like he's averse to any of those things, but this is just a bigger pool of resources and how you allocate them that you could soar via that. You could really speed the build up here or, it can be overwhelming. I don't get the sense it'll be overwhelming for him, but I think that type of leap is it's one that we've seen Dusty May in Michigan basketball make, quite frankly, and he's taken that opportunity and run with it. And I suspect Whittingham will do the same.
Anthony Broome covers Michigan, the Wolverines, for thewolverine.com and the On3 Network. Anthony, thanks so much. Appreciate it. You're going to enjoy covering Kyle Whittingham, a no-nonsense guy, but a great man who leads with integrity, and I think Michigan fans will really appreciate what he brings to the program, especially right now at this time. And we appreciate your insight, Anthony. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Anthony.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, Anthony Broome. thewolverine.com on 3 Network. Some great insight from the Michigan side of things as Kyle Whittingham makes this jump. And, I think a lot of Utah fans listening, they want to turn the page on Kyle Whittingham. I don't know what feelings you're feeling out there, folks. Utah fans, you can feel however you want. I've seen a lot of different perspectives out there. Some are happy for him and they're excited about the future. Others feel like he's a traitor. You can feel however you want. Change is tough, and that's what's going on here. But what's done is done. I think the story now, as we move forward, nobody here cares what he's going to do for Michigan unless you're a Michigan fan. The question is, what is this going to do to impact Utah, and to a lesser degree, if an assistant or multiple assistants from BYU end up heading to Ann Arbor, and that's a possibility, then and then the players as well.
Yes.
And I don't think that Kyle Whittingham's knowledge of players stops at just Utah. Why? He's coached against and he's recruited a lot of these kids at different institutions out west. I mean, who knows? When, like he mentioned just now, like Kyle Whittingham suddenly, and this is something he's going to have to adjust to in a positive way, is you suddenly can recruit nationally like you've never been able to recruit before. And Utah certainly tried and did an incredible job going to places like Florida and Texas and California. You've even seen, kids from random like Bert Ficklin's from Oklahoma. Like they've tried to turn every stone across the country they can, but this is different. Like you're Michigan. You get into every living room if you need to, right?
And you also are armed with the resources. And you wonder, too, is this a different conversation today with Kyle Whittingham if Utah was armed with more resources?
Right.
He's talked so much for years about eventually it's going to be the top 25 programs are going to be the top 25 most resourced teams in college football. Feels like we're seeing that day.
Follow the money.
Where Texas Tech goes from 7-5, 8-4, top 5 finance roster, reportedly $28 million, top 4 team.
Yeah.
And
no coincidence.
BYU is putting a lot more resources than ever before. You're seeing in football and men's basketball. Men's basketball, top 10 team. So I think that's what kind of makes me wonder, too, because, again, Whittingham, I think he would have liked to have seen it through at Utah. But how can you turn down a Michigan, as he put, one of 5 programs that he would have picked up the phone for? You're not worried about resources now. You've got billionaire boosters that love the maize and blue. I'm not going to say I know all the intricacies of the Michigan.
They're well funded.
It's the who's who.
Yes.
And he can tell recruits, hey, you want to probably talk to Tom Brady? I'm sure he can get that connection lined up. And, that's just a different world to where, and then you pair it up with his processes, and it's about the program. Like, he'll get people to buy in and play out of their minds and get to their maximum potential. The thing is, even if he doesn't get the 5-star guys, he'll get some 3-star dudes and he'll turn them into 5 stars. That's the thing about Kyle Whittingham and what this state has lived off of in general. So if he has an eye on someone, it'll work out quite well. But yeah, I think it's going to be, really interesting to see how this plays out. But I do think for Utah fans, like, it's got to be, I mean, if I was in that spot, I'd probably be more angry, because just you think when he was going to be done, he was going to retire and go off into the sunset.
This is not computing for you right now.
And now it's harder to justify things like, naming buildings and statues or whatever after him. Now it's like, well, he just left us, and now he might take our OC when Utah finally turned the corner offensively after a few down years. So that's what makes it a little bit tough right now. But I do think all these programs in the state will be okay. But it's just it's very surreal to just see Kyle Whittingham coaching at a place that's not Utah. It still blows my mind, to be honest with you. Yeah,
it was weird yesterday seeing him wear that shirt. I'm going to be honest. But the question, as I said, now comes to what does the impact? What are the dominoes that fall here? And you bring up legacy. If Kyle Whittingham raids the cupboard, it's going to impact his legacy in Utah. So is that something that he does delicately? I don't think that's in his nature, to be honest. He's a competitor. He's now the head coach at Michigan. I think he comes and gets what he wants and needs. And he has the resources to do it.
And you just heard right there in that interview, I mean, we all know how important rivalries are. But like Michigan, Ohio State, he's going to try to take down a program that's looking to maybe be the back-to-back national champs, and Ohio State might do it.
And that's called the game for a reason.
So
it doesn't need a fancy name.
So if you don't take this job to suddenly worry about statues and legacies, like he's looking to go win a national title. So if that requires taking some guys that enter the portal and they're Utah men, well, he's going to probably make that happen.
If he takes half the coaching staff, so be it.
So
he's trying to win a national championship at Michigan.
And that's tough because you thought that this transition was going to be hand Scally the keys and just take off and run with it. I'm going to be in my multi-million-dollar AD gig and help mentor when you need some mentoring.
And I'm going to go hang out with my grandkids.
And that's what makes
Kyle,
it tough.
What about the kids?
That's what makes it tough for the Utah fans. That's what makes it hard.
You completely forgot about the kids.
Yeah, they were never mentioned in that statement. Stepping down, well, where's the grandkids? Hey, what about that bike? Riding that bike all the time. Go golfing.
Thought you wanted to spend more time with the grandkids.
Shaping those calves even more than they already are. My goodness, they're beautiful.
Now you're moving to Ann Arbor. They are incredible, by the way.
Seeing that in the Orlando sun, I'm like, whoa, it's fantastic.
They sparkle in the sun. What a story. Kyle Whittingham at Michigan now. And like I said, the story for us now really pivots to what's the fallout here. And we'll continue to cover that. Mitch is going to cover it tirelessly over the next week. As Anthony mentioned, there's probably going to show respect to Utah and not make any announcements or do anything until after their bowl game ends. But January 1st, January 2nd, through the weekend, buckle up, folks. It's going to be crazy here. The fallout from this and the dominoes that fall from Kyle Whittingham taking the job at Michigan. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, it's time for the NFL Blitz. What a weekend in the NFL. We'll break it all down next, including your favorite local players in the NFL next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Another banner week for the NFL. Week 17 had plenty of drama. You had that Bills ending, heartbreak for the Bills, chance for a big win. He's wide open in the back of the end zone. You're Josh Allen. You're Josh Allen. And you missed him by almost 10 feet. He's human. But that was a heck of a game, right? That was fun. Not the most high-scoring game playing in the rain, but felt like a Super Bowl type matchup. Didn't disappoint despite the weather slowing down the offenses. You had a lot of great battles. I thought the Ravens-Packers game on Saturday night was fun, right?
That was a good one. I thought that was.
We didn't get the starting quarterbacks, but I thought we got more.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really. It feels like we've been watching this weekend for every day. I mean, Christmas, you had the Netflix games, which that always throws me for a loop watching NFL games on Netflix. I know it should sound commonplace now watching it on Netflix, but it's like still kind of maybe my millennial brain still just doesn't adjust to that. But that was different. And the thing is like the NFL, even the local performances though, with like Bobby Wagner, still to this day in 2025, putting up big time performances as well.
10 total tackles, half a sack, a pass breakup on one of those Netflix games, a loss to the Cowboys. By the way, you notice in those in the Netflix broadcast, they bring in like the legendary players from their home. How come all these NFL legends have such bad home internet?
Yes. I've been dealing with that lately, too. But, yes, it's like...
What? These guys are legends, and I'm sure they got the amount of money to afford it. Like, upgrade, man.
Get them some Google Fiber.
Like you got dial-up going on at your home, Emmett Smith. What's the deal, bro? You're Emmett Smith.
They're competing in other areas.
Internet.
They're competing in other areas. They're not worried about internet.
And you're Netflix. It's not like this is like NBC or somebody. Like, Netflix should be able to hook these guys up properly. I don't know about that part. It was kind of weird and clunky having those guys join on their phone, and they have their phone underneath their nose. You're looking up their nose. I mean, nice touch, nice try, but
sometimes we try a little too hard.
When you don't have commercial breaks, I guess you do what you do.
Like sometimes just miss the plot. Just stick with the the games, and I think that's going to be enough. Like, the NFL delivers no matter what.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So, I mean, the game of the week, though, was 49ers-Bears. And, Mitch, for a while this year, it took me some time to accept the Bears as a serious threat in the NFC, but I'm sold now. That was on the road last night against a hot 49ers team. Brock Purdy is as hot as you can be right now as a quarterback, and they went toe-to-toe with them. They have a win over the Eagles this year. They've won the NFC North. That's already been decided. How serious should we take this Bears team?
I mean, I think they could get to the Super Bowl. I think that they have been excellent this year, and I almost kind of like come away a little bit more impressed with them, even though they lost. I know that sounds strange, but
that's why I'm bringing it up. I was like, wow, this is incredible that they're doing this.
It's one of those games where the plot was a little bit more about the team that lost in a way, because such low expectations for Chicago, and it's been a huge breakthrough year with Caleb Williams and this franchise. So, yeah, I came away very impressed with them to the point where I feel like, yeah, I'm going to be taking them seriously going into the playoffs, that they could go, maybe NFC Championship, but why not the Super Bowl? I mean, you're going into San Francisco in a primetime spot and putting up that type of production. I mean, I feel like that could translate to the playoffs, because that had a playoff-type feeling, that game.
Yeah, it's likely, assuming they win this week in their season finale, they'll be taking on the Lions. The Lions have nothing to play for, and the Lions aren't good enough to beat the Bears right now.
Huge
anyway,
disappointment this year, the Lions.
Okay, so the most disappointing teams in the league, I'll go Lions, Chiefs number 1, Lions 2, Bucks 3. That team should have ran away with the NFC South, and now they're on the verge of missing the playoffs. The Commanders had the injury problem, and they were kind of a flash in the pan, so I'm not going to be too hard on them. Whoever loses this game between the Ravens and Steelers is also most disappointing.
What about the Colts, too? Started out 7-1, and then they make the Sauce Gardner trade, and then he's on his second team going 1-7.
One Achilles can cost you your playoff. I mean, I look at that. That team made a big jump, and they were really impressive. Now they're 8-8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty crazy that one Achilles tendon could lead you to spiral like that. But the Colts, I get it because of the injuries. I don't get the Chiefs, and I don't get the Ravens or the Steelers, whoever doesn't make the playoffs, and I definitely don't get the Lions. All the praise that the Lions got and Campbell got over the last couple of years, he deserves some scorn now, because you lost your coordinators, and that was clearly a massive loss. You're not the same team. They're going to have to figure that out in the offseason.
Yeah, they've been spiraling, too, as of late, because they were 8-5, and they've lost their last 3, eliminated, nothing to play for now, but huge disappointment. I mean, when they lost that playoff game last year in the at home with the 1 seed, I mean, that was just a missed opportunity, because it's one of those franchises that when you get that chance and it felt like all the stars aligned, you got to seize that opportunity. You can't just assume you're going to get back to it. I think there was a little bit of just, assuming they'll be back, and they've turned the corners of franchise. Still, they're the Lions, and they're going to break your heart or let you down along the way, and they definitely did this season, because I really thought they were going to be the best team. I honestly thought they were going to replicate what they did last year, but that was not the case at all.
You know what's going to be really tough and probably the most difficult award to vote for this year is NFL Coach of the Year. And you saw 2 last night that I think should be at the top of the list. Ben Johnson taking the Bears from last to first is insane.
That feels like the move right there.
But look what Kyle Shanahan's done with the 49ers and all those injuries. Yeah. They lost basically every all-pro player they had this year at some point, some for the season. And they're 1 win away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC again.
Yeah, we're getting Fred Warner, booth shots that are all these, him and his kid. Like, he's not on the field. Like, you lost Fred Warner, you've lost Greg Kittle, all these guys.
Everyone. And Purdy missed half the season. Yeah. You were out there with Mac Jones, and he looked good. Like, there's something about the 49ers. They just get it done. And then I keep looking at, there's more coaches. Like, the Seattle Seahawks, McDonald's done a great job there. They're 1 win away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC,
and doing it with Sam Darnold.
Exactly, and Sam Darnold should be top. Like, I think he's like one of 6 quarterbacks ever to have back-to-back 12-win seasons.
He's in the grouping.
There's 13-win seasons. There's like a list of 5 guys ever.
And they're the best to ever do it. Like
And he's in
Brady,
he's in the group.
Favre, those guys.
Look at the Texans turnaround. Like, it's so hard. And Mike Vrabel with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Payton deserves a nod with the Broncos. I mean, there's so many great. Liam Cohen with the Jags. The Jaguars are 12-4.
Yeah.
They were dog water last year.
You know, when you lay this all out there, I mean, I honestly thought, I just go to Chicago with Johnson and just give him the nod. But when you lay it out this way, I mean, there are so many good storylines in this league with who could be that coach of the year. I'd still probably go with Chicago because I just thought that was going to be a train wreck, even with a new start and a new head coach. But to come into that franchise, I mean, there's been so many different coaches and quarterbacks and coordinators.
Where quarterbacks go to die outside of Cleveland.
And to actually get it right and get this team playing at such a high level, knocking on the door of the playoffs, I mean, I think I'd still give him the nod, but you lay out a lot of great. I mean, Vrabel too. That's a good one as well to go with.
The
possibly. Patriots
with Drake May in his second-year quarter. There's so many incredible coaching jobs that took place in the league, and there were some stinkers as well. But crazy the amount of great coaching that's going on in the NFL right now. A couple of local notes to pass along. How about Tyler Huntley? Coming in for an injured Lamar Jackson, your season's on the line. You have got to go to Lambeau and beat the Packers to keep your playoff hopes alive, your chances of winning the AFC North. Tyler Huntley leads you there. 16 of 20, 107 yards. Those numbers aren't going to blow you away. But it's a cold night in Lambeau, and you also had some great runs on the ground, and you just let Derrick Henry do his job. And there's something interesting about that because I think Lamar Jackson's spectacular. He's unreal. There's sometimes, though, where Lamar Jackson tries to do too much on his own. And sometimes you got to look in your mirror and say, I got Derrick Henry at running back. I got a great tight end. I got this defense isn't what it used to be, but I don't have to do this all on my own. And Tyler Huntley showed that by just going out there and taking care of the football, being efficient in the pass game. You don't have to throw for 300 yards. Just be efficient, get the ball to the guy that really matters, and you're going to win a football game. And give Tyler Huntley credit for that. Baltimore Ravens fans are now they don't want them to get another backup quarterback ever again. Give Tyler Huntley the job until he's 40. He's not leaving Baltimore ever again because they love him. They let him go once. They're not going to do it again. He is – I don't want to pigeonhole him as a career backup, but, man, sometimes look around the league. Look at some of the backup quarterbacks. Look what the Jets are going through, right? I'm on their third string. Like, there's so many guys out there that are struggling as backups. Tyler Huntley has been consistently solid as a backup quarterback in the NFL. And does he deserve a shot at a starting job? I don't know, but it is a pretty nice life when you're a backup quarterback in the NFL. You make good money for a long, long time, and when called upon, he gets the job done.
And to be in a franchise, too, where you've got a quarterback who sometimes, as you noted, does too much and could be suspect to injury.
Right.
Tyler Huntley is a perfect guy to step in. Year 6 already. It's hard to believe it's been that long removed since he was at Utah. But in a game of 2 backups, taking the reins, Malik Willis on the other side, I thought Huntley did a really nice job for this Ravens team. And, yeah, Derrick Henry going off for 216 rushing yards. I mean, that guy.
Hope you started him on your fantasy team.
He's so good.
Championship.
And, yeah, Huntley, no shame in being maybe, I hate to say use the term career backup, but for this franchise, it makes all the sense in the world because it's a franchise that's built to, seems like, always be in contention, and you're going to probably win some games every year being the backup to Lamar Jackson. That could be a nice living in the NFL, and Tyler Huntley's, you got to think, is a fan favorite for that Baltimore franchise.
In a league that we make fun of as not for long, finding an organization like that and finding your place matters. Real quick, Jackson Dart, a nice day against a really bad Raiders team, but all season long, when given the opportunity, he's really showed some things. 22 of 30 for 207 yards. No turnovers. He also ran for 48 yards. A true dual threat in the NFL. Your thoughts on Jackson Dart's rookie season?
I think just to kind of have the proof of concept and that he belongs and doesn't look like he's getting completely sped up, and especially being in a market like New York where that could eat you alive. We've seen that from former Corner Canyon quarterback, and it feels like Jackson Dart more than belongs. I mean, he looks every bit the part of maybe that franchise quarterback for the Giants. And, I mean, since Eli, have they had a franchise quarterback that you can count on year after year since Eli Manning left? I don't think
Daniel Jones won a playoff game, and that didn't work out.
I think Jackson Dart could be their best quarterback since Eli Manning. And I think he's shown enough to give you that feeling, if you're a Giants fan, that he is that guy. And I that's exciting to see that, because I felt like, this state, we haven't produced as many, great signal callers. I mean, Jim McMahon back in the day, but the quarterbacks, there've been guys that get to the league, these homegrown product guys, but they have not always panned out. So great to see at the most critical position, someone locally tearing it up. And I think Jackson Dart got a huge future ahead in New York, and I expect big things with him. And that tandem of him and Scadaboo, when Scadaboo is healthy.
And if Malik Neighbors can come back 100%.
I mean,
they're building something.
The Giants lose out on Marcus Freeman, who said, the Notre Dame coach, who said that he's going to be returning to South Bend. But because I thought that seemed like not a lock, but it felt like that makes a lot of sense.
It's a good match, right?
With the offensive personnel that the Giants have surrounding Dart. That would have made a lot of sense, but we'll see what direction the Giants go. But I think Dart's got a bright future ahead of him for sure after this season.
All right, that wraps up the NFL Blitz on this Monday. It is the holidays, but for some, the holidays have sucked. Sucks to be used next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Basking in the sports misfortune of others to help make you feel just a little bit better about yourself. As JJ and Alex present,
yes, we got beat. We got beat badly.
It Sucks to Be You.
Hopefully everything doesn't suck for you today. Hopefully you're having a good day, all of you listening during this holiday. We want to make your day a little bit better if it does suck. We want to give you something. We want to give something away. Call it a Christmas gift from your friends at JJ and Alex. Call in now at 801-575-ZONE with the Chevy Strong Play of the Week to win a $20 Amazon gift card. Again, that's 801-575-ZONE with the Chevy Strong Play of the Week. That's a play you heard on DJ and PK this morning. If you're a true P1, you know, and you can win that $20. We want to reward you for listening to the KSL Sports Zone all day long. With an impressive lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs, it's no wonder that people are switching to Chevy. They don't suck. Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers, America's fastest growing full-line brand, Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers. Now let's get to those that do suck. The Detroit Lions. Come on. We were talking about it in the NFL Blitz, but what the heck, man? They have so much talent. That's the same team that's been pushing to make a Super Bowl the last 2 years, and they just didn't have it. I know they had some injuries on the defensive side, and defense was really their downfall. So I'm just massively disappointed in that team, and for them to be eliminated on this weekend on Christmas Day was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, that was a huge disappointment this year for this Detroit Lions team. I mean, to be 8-8 heading into the final week, did not see that coming at all. I mean, they just had so many struggles. I think their offense too has been a huge regression. I think it's one of the more explosive offenses in the league a year ago. They've regressed. Yeah. And it kind of makes you wonder too if Jared Goff, if they, he's always just been a QB1 with the Rams and the Lions. He's kind of hit his ceiling to where you pivot and start to look to the future at that quarterback position if you're the Lions, to start to figure out what's next at that spot, because I feel like this was a little bit of a missed window for Detroit in that franchise.
No question about that. Disappointing season for them. Now turning to college football. What's up with the SEC? Now, I know it's not counting the playoff, obviously. Ole Miss and Alabama won. But do they care about bowl games? Because not going so well so far.
It always feels like with the SEC, whenever they lose a game, Utah fans remember this in the Sugar Bowl. They weren't interested. That's the line they always play. Oh, they weren't interested. Now it's, they all opted out. The problem is with the SEC is that you can't have it both ways.
Right.
When you say that the second string and third stringers and our team would hammer the best teams in the Big 12. We'll go do that. And, LSU, as an example, in the Texas Bowl, they lose 38-35 to Houston. Close game, and Houston was a favorite in that one. But Houston ranked as the 66th best team talent roster on 24/7 Sports. LSU, 6th. That would tell you, even if you have all those opt-outs, which LSU did. They got that cornerback Halsey, maybe one of the best NFL draft prospects coming up in April. Still, you would think, based on the stars, that your second and third string guys are going to be better than anything Houston trots out, yet you still lose. So the SEC, again, it shows you that these preseason rankings that shouldn't mean anything play a big role in narratives, and these logos, brands, play a big role in college football. And when you actually line it up between the lines, these teams in the Big 12 and the ACC look a lot more comparable to these SEC teams than they get credit for during the season.
Yeah, they do. You're right. The excuses have to stop. You can't have it both ways. Clemson. Now, this is interesting because, Dabo was resistant to the change in college football. Initially, he wouldn't do the transfer portal and all that stuff. Clemson was, and they're not a blue blood per se, but over the last decade, they won national championships, Heisman trophies. This was, whenever they had a 14 playoff, Clemson was in the mix every single year. And now, this program finished 7-6. It's their worst record since going 6-7 in 2010. And you're watching them in the bowl game. Again, bowl games, I don't know, man. Like, if you don't want to play in these games, then don't show up, I guess. Maybe Notre Dame did the right thing when they did what they did. But they lose to Penn State 22-10, a Penn State team that came in 6-6 and barely made a bowl game. What's up with Clemson, Mitch?
It felt a little bit like the Clemson of old when it was the term Clemsoning. And Dabo tried to just bury that, and good reason. They were a juggernaut for about 8 years.
Yep.
Clemson was, but it feels like they've slipped up, which is crazy because going into the year, I was drinking the Kool-Aid on Clemson.
A lot of people were.
Their defense, the personnel, they still got a bunch of NFL prospects, and it just didn't work. And it makes you kind of wonder, is Dabo's voice and message just maybe not hitting with this NIL era of roster and the culture? It's such a cliche term, but maybe just the messaging isn't hitting the same way as it once did with those teams with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson that he had so much success with. I'm confused by that one with Clemson because they were really bad this year in a ACC that was not good, and the ACC champ that had 5 losses with Duke. So massive disappointing year for Dabo. I don't think it's a deal where he's on a hot seat because I think with his status of winning, multiple national championships, he's earned the right there to right the ship. But, we're in a sport now where someone like James Franklin was inches away from being the number 1 team, and then 2 weeks later he's fired. It wouldn't shock me if next fall we're seeing the hot seat meter go up on Dabo if he struggles once again.
It just feels like their time is up. And I don't know if he continues there, how he's going to flip that switch in the day of NIL and where college football is going to be now in 2026. Now, there's always the path, and if this playoff goes to 16 and the ACC can get their act together, that's a wide open conference for him to do that, but I'm not seeing the signs of it, and you're seeing other teams in the ACC like Virginia passing them by, which I never thought I would ever say.
The quarterbacks, that's the issue too. They had such a great run there. Even Taj Boyd, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, all those guys, they had such a great run at Clemson with being a little bit of a QB factory that's been non-existent since Trevor Lawrence left. And Klubnik, I thought, was going to be, top 5 type pick. He looked nothing of the sort. No. So that's probably the biggest issue. If they get it right at quarterback, maybe that solves a lot of the problems. But even defensively, they just weren't as good as maybe people thought, including myself. Like, I was really sold on Clemson. I thought, oh, man, they're going to win the ACC. They're going to be back. Because last year, they were in the playoff. They backdoored their way in, winning the ACC championship, but they were in the first 12-team playoff in what felt like a disappointing year last year. This one, though, no one saw coming, and really the top 10 teams, Clemson, Penn State, Texas, disappointing year. I know they had a tough schedule, but these preseason top 5, top 10 teams, hardly any of them lived up to it. So we got to really, again, reevaluate why these preseason polls carry so much sway, because they clearly do. When we hear the playoff committee reference, Alabama had this amazing 4-week stretch of wins against ranked teams. I thought your rankings didn't start till November. Why are you counting rankings in September?
How come the first college football playoff rankings look like the AP top 10?
Yeah, so it's just that's what's challenging about college football. But huge fall off for Clemson, and we'll see if Dabo can get it fixed.
It's just tough to predict anything in college football now in this transfer portal era and NIL era. Is certainly different than it was when Dabo started that run at Clemson over a decade ago. All right, when we come back, Cole Bagley will join us, Utah Mammoth insider. The Mammoth back in action tonight. We'll break down that game and get an update on the injury situation with the Mammoth as well. Coming up next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.